Watching the news is kind of depressing sometimes, isn't it? Some days it just seems like the news report is a list of one bad thing after another. And when we look out at the world at times, we can have the same sort of feeling as we see the violence, the injustice, the poverty. Then when we think of our own lives, we realize that we've each got our own trials, our own tribulations that we have to deal with. And though the things that we face, at least many of them, are not as bad as some of the worst tragedies in the world, they're enough to knock us down at times, or at least to drag us down pretty significantly. And so the question is, how do we face all of this? What does the scripture offer us when we face all of these challenges? Well, 1 John 4:4 says this. It says, "You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world." Well, the Apostle John wrote these words to a group of believers who were dealing with some people who were persecuting them, and with another group of people who were teaching some really false and really hurtful things about God. And the people doing these things were doing them, at least to some degree, out of an evil intent, because Satan had a certain power or influence over them. And that's a scary thought, the things these people were doing and the power that was behind them. But what John does here is he reminds the people he was writing to of who they are, that they're believers, they're people of faith, they belong to God. And then he also reminds them of something really important. He reminds them that the people of God are overcomers. And in fact, he mentions in this case that they had overcome the things that these people were doing in their particular situation. Why? Well, John tells them, he says, because the one who is in them, Jesus, is greater than the one who is in the world, Satan. Jesus is greater than any and every power that is in this world. And the promise here, it isn't just for those people back in the Bible. This is a promise that's also for us today. There's nothing in this life that we can't overcome, because the one who is living in us is greater than the one who is living in the world and all the powers in the world. Now, this doesn't mean that life is going to be easy. It doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen, but it does mean that by definition, we, the people of God, the people of faith, we are overcomers. And you want to know why? Well, John 16:33, Jesus explains a little more. He says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." We can overcome anything because the one who is living in us, Jesus, has overcome all of the powers of this world. So when life gets hard and we feel like we just can't make it through, well, we need to be encouraged. We need to remember that we can overcome. We need to choose in those moments to lean on the one who is living in us. And we need to know that no matter what we face, we're not alone and we can overcome.